Hey guys, hello and welcome to Speedy Medical. In this video, we are going to take on the acute lymphoblastic leukemias. Please make sure to watch the previous two videos as I have covered the basics of hematology in my previous two videos, and you will be able to appreciate it better if you watch the previous two videos. Okay. So as I told you, there is a hematopoietic stem cell which gives rise to lymphoid stem cells and myeloid stem cells. From the lymphoid stem cells, we have the B lymphoblast and the T lymphoblast. And I also told you that the acute leukemias are those which arise from the blasts. So if the acute leukemia it is arising from the lymphoblast, then it would be called as acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And if it is arising from the myeloid stem cells or the myeloblast, it is called as acute myelogenous leukemia or acute myeloblastic leukemia. So this is the basic difference between the AML and the ALL. In this video, we will primarily focus on the ALLs. So if we talk about the lymphoblast are of two types, that is the B lymphoblast and the T lymphoblast. So if the acute lymphoblastic leukemia it is arising from the B lymphoblast, it is called as the BALL, and if it is arising from the T lymphoblast, it is called as TALL. So this is the basic scenario: what is ALL, what is AML, what is BALL, and what is TALL. Now in this video we'll primarily focus on what is the pathogenesis of these leukemias and what are the clinical features which are associated with these leukemias. And after this, we'll study what is the blood picture, which is very important in solving the clinical questions or the clinical vignettes. They just give you the blood picture and you have to diagnose what is the condition. So in the last part, we'll take on what is the blood picture that is associated with these acute lymphoblastic leukemias. So let's take on the pathogenesis of acute lymphoblastic leukemias. Now let us suppose that this is the bone marrow. Now as you already know that within the bone marrow the various cells they are maturing. For example, the RBCs they are maturing, the neutrophils they are maturing, the platelets they are also maturing within the bone marrow, and all the other important cells of the hematopoietic system they are maturing in the bone marrow. Now in case of lymphoblastic leukemias or in case of myeloblastic leukemias or simply in case of acute leukemias, what happens over there is that there occur the unregulated proliferation of the blast. So there would occur the unregulated proliferation of the blast, and if the proliferation of blast occur in such a way that of all the cells more than equal to 30% of the cells are blast, then it is considered as an acute leukemia. So if of all the cells more than 30% cells are blast, then it would be the case of acute leukemia. And in this case, since these cells are lymphoblasts, so it is acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Now, if you look at this picture, you will be able to make out most of the clinical findings that are associated with the acute lymphoblastic leukemia or any acute leukemia. See, first of all, what would happen over there is that as the blasts they continue to grow, they will just take all the space within the bone marrow, and as a result of this, the other cells will not be able to grow and mature. Similarly, they would take all the nutrition of the normal cells, and as a result of this, the normal cells will die. So ultimately, the whole of the bone marrow will be infiltrated by the blast. So as a result of this, there would be a decrease in the number of RBCs within the bone marrow, and also there would be a decrease in the number of RBCs in the blood. So there would be anemia. Similarly, there would be a decrease in the number of neutrophils. So it would result in increased risk of infections. There would be decreased platelets, and as a result of the decreased platelets, there would be increased bleeding tendencies. So this is the basic pathogenesis of the acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and these are the basic clinical features which are associated with the acute lymphoblastic leukemia. But this is not the whole story. There are also some other clinical features which are associated with the acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Apart from anemias, increased risk of infections and bleeding tendencies, these patients, they also present with bone pain. See clearly, as the blasts, they are growing within the bone marrow, so naturally they will just cause the expansion and other changes within the bone, and this will result in bone pain and bone tenderness. And then there will be generalized lymphadenopathy. So guys, what is generalized lymphadenopathy? It is a condition in which the lymph nodes within the body, they are enlarged, and since all the lymph nodes or majority of the lymph nodes are enlarged, this is called as generalized lymphadenopathy. Now why would this generalized lymphadenopathy would occur? So basically what happens is that as the blast, they are produced in increased number within the bone marrow, after some time these blasts, they are released into the blood. Normally we have no blast within the blood, but in this case the blasts, they will be released into the blood, and as the blasts, they are released into the blood, they go into the organs of the reticuloendothelial system, which are the spleen, the lymph nodes and the liver. So they will go into the spleen, liver and the lymph node. So as a result of this, there would be enlargement of spleen, which is termed as splenomegaly. There would be enlargement of liver, which is called as hepatomegaly, and there would be enlargement of the lymph nodes, which is called as generalized lymphadenopathy. So therefore there will be generalized lymphadenopathy. One more particular feature or a peculiar feature of the ALL is that this cell can also involve the central nervous system and particularly the meninges. See guys, these cells are within the blood, so they can naturally go into any part of the body and can lodge over there. So when they involve the meninges and the CNS, they can cause various symptoms like headache, vomiting and nerve palsies or nerve paralysis. So there would be headache, vomiting and nerve palsies or nerve paralysis. These are due to the involvement of the central nervous system. So this is the basic pathogenesis of the acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and these are the clinical features of the acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Now we have to understand what is the blood picture of the acute lymphoblastic leukemia. So if we talk about the blood picture of the acute lymphoblastic leukemia, it's quite simple to understand. In case of acute lymphoblastic leukemia, as I told you, there is anemia. So therefore in the peripheral blood smear, the RBCs, they will be decreased. As I told you that there is neutropenia, which means there is decreased WBCs. So total WBCs would be decreased. But among the WBCs, the blasts, they will be increased within the peripheral blood smear. And this clinical feature or this laboratory finding, that is the presence of blast, it points that this is a case of acute leukemia, which may be acute lymphoblastic or acute myeloid leukemia. That is another thing to diagnose, but the primary thing is that we have to just make out that it is a case of acute leukemia. So these blasts, they help us to diagnose that it is a case of acute leukemia. So RBCs, they are decreased, WBCs, they are decreased, but the blasts, they are characteristically increased. After the WBCs, we have decreased platelets. So therefore there will be thrombocytopenia, and the platelets, they are typically less than 1 lakh. So this is the basic blood picture which is seen in the case of acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Now we have to understand if the patient presents with these clinical features and this blood picture, how do we manage and how do we work up with that patient? Now, whenever the patient presents with the clinical features like anemia, thrombocytopenia and infections or decreased WBC, one thing is clear when you see the blast, that it is a case of acute leukemia. But you know, acute leukemias, they can be acute myeloid leukemias or they can be acute lymphoblastic leukemias. So you have to differentiate whether it is AML or it is ALL. So there is a thing which is called as immunophenotyping. See, basically immunophenotyping is a investigation or it is a procedure by which we can differentiate the enzymes which are present in various cells. And if by immunophenotyping you find out the particular enzyme which is found in lymphoblast, then you can be sure that it is a case of acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Similarly, if you can find out the particular enzyme which is found in the myeloblast, then you can be clear that it is a case of acute myeloid leukemia. So, via immunophenotyping, you can differentiate between ALL and AML. Now, the typical finding of ALL in immunophenotyping is that these ALL, they have a particular enzyme which is called as TDT. So actually TDT enzyme is present in the lymphoblast. It is not present in the mature lymphocytes, neither it is present in the cells of myeloid lineage. It is only present within the lymphoblast. And if on immunophenotyping we find that the cells, they are positive for TDT enzyme, then we are sure that it is a case of ALL. So what would you do is that after you find this clinical picture and this blood picture, you will order TDT. So if the TDT comes out to be positive, then it is a case of acute lymphoblastic leukemia. But let's suppose that TDT is negative, then you are suspecting that it might be a case of acute myeloid leukemia. For acute myeloid leukemia, we use an enzyme which is called as myeloperoxidase enzyme. And if we locate the myeloperoxidase enzyme in immunophenotyping, then it is a case of AML or acute myelogenous leukemia or acute myeloblastic leukemia. This I will be taking in another video. So right now focus on ALL or acute lymphoblastic leukemia. So if you have TDT positive, then it is a case of acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Now what to do next? We have to differentiate whether it is a case of BALL or it is a case of TALL. So how do we differentiate between BALL and TALL? Now there is another investigation which can be used to differentiate between the BALL and TALL. It is called as the surface receptor studies. So there are basically surface receptors which are there on the B lymphoblast and the T lymphoblast. Now on the B lymphoblast, the surface receptors, they are CD19, CD20 and CD10, while these are present on the B lymphoblast. And on the T lymphoblast, we have receptors like CD2, CD8 and CD5. So if via immunophenotyping for the cell surface receptor, we find that these are CD20 positive, CD19 positive and CD10 positive, then it means that it is a case of BALL. While if they are positive for CD2 or CD8 or CD5, then it is a case of TALL. So this is the basic working of how we differentiate between the ALL and the AML, and between the ALL, how do we differentiate between BALL and TALL. I hope you like this video.